We all have that instinct. You look at your savings and immediately start wondering how to make it multiply as fast as humanly possible, pushing your portfolio to the absolute limit. To figure out exactly how fast that can happen, we use a math shortcut called the Rule of 72. It calculates exactly how many years it takes for an investment to double in value. This chart plots the baseline doubling times for traditional, safe assets. In a fixed deposit, it takes about 12 years to double your money. Real estate takes around 9 years, and gold gets you there in 5. If we move into equities, the timeline compresses. Put your money in the Nifty 50, and you're looking at just over 6 years. Large caps cut that down to 5.5, and mid caps bring it all the way down to 3.5 years. Then there are the extremes. Small caps can double your money in exactly 3 years, and Bitcoin holds the mathematical potential to double your cash in just 2 years. Looking at these numbers, the immediate temptation is to take every bit of capital you have and dump it straight into Bitcoin. Why wait 12 years for a fixed deposit when you can move 6 times faster? This acceleration creates a direct conflict because the time it takes to double your wealth is tied to the probability of losing your initial capital entirely. A successful investment strategy balances the speed of the asset against your capacity to survive its crashes. We evaluate these options using this speed-risk spectrum matrix. It charts doubling time against the risk of losing capital, giving a clear 3-tier system. The bottom left is the preservation tier, consisting of fixed deposits, real estate, and gold. Parking your capital in these historical safe havens guarantees absolute preservation. You won't see your net worth swing wildly from day to day. However, taking 5 to 12 years to double introduces inflation risk, where the everyday cost of living can outpace the slow growth of your money. Moving up the matrix, we hit the engine tier, the Nifty 50, large caps, and mid caps. This 3.5 to 6 year doubling timeline provides enough momentum to outpace inflation while staying within the bounds of traditional market growth. The required trade-off for this efficiency is psychological resilience. You must be able to watch a 10 to 20% market correction without panicking. This math only works if you make a strict commitment to hold your assets for at least 5 years. Effectively protecting your wealth from the erosion of inflation requires stepping away from guaranteed safety and accepting periods of moderate discomfort. Then we reach the most dangerous end of the spectrum, the speculative tier. This extreme tier holds small caps and Bitcoin. The idea of having your wealth-building timeline to 2 or 3 years is a powerful draw. But these specific markets are violent and unpredictable. Massive gains are frequently erased overnight. Investing here subjects your portfolio to the very real possibility of a 50 to 80% wipeout during a bear market. If you lose 50% of your capital, you need a 100% gain just to get back to zero, which destroys any initial speed advantage. These hyper-growth assets carry an unprecedented speed that serves as a direct premium paid for accepting the constant threat of capital destruction. The Rule of 72 provides the mathematical baseline, but turning that math into a strategy requires layering in your own age, income, and goals. For example, a safety-first novice might be budget-conscious and highly risk-averse. This portfolio anchors heavily in the preservation tier, putting 80% into fixed deposits or gold, and keeps a 20% slice in the engine tier to ensure peace of mind. Then there is the balanced optimizer, wanting steady growth without losing sleep. For them, the engine tier becomes the core strategy. The chart shifts to 75% in assets like the Nifty 50 or large caps, with 25% retreating to the preservation tier. This balance averages out to a 5 to 6 year doubling timeline, while keeping enough safe capital to insulate the investor from stress. Accurately matching your asset tier to your psychological risk tolerance is the only way to prevent panic selling during inevitable market dips. Finally, we have the aggressive speculator, time-poor, impatient, and willing to take chances. Even this approach requires strict boundaries. Notice this new sharp red slice for speculative assets like Bitcoin or small caps. Speculative exposure must be ruthlessly capped at 5 to 10% of total wealth. This tiny allocation satisfies the psychological need for speed, allowing a small portion of money to attempt that 2-year double, while the vast majority of the portfolio remains safely insulated. This mirrors a strict warning from Ankar Wariku's breakdown. This doesn't mean you should put all your money in small caps or Bitcoin. Diversification is a mandatory mechanical requirement for managing risk. Building wealth requires a deliberate ecosystem that allows your money to double while ensuring you actually survive to see the result.